What's up, everybody? Eric here with another EWE Reviews. Today we're going to be talking about Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 1. But before we get into that, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, let me know what you guys want me to review next, what you thought about this video. And yeah, thanks guys. So, this review will have spoilers, but if you watch any of the Last of Us or South Park reviews, you know how I go about it. What I'll do is the first half of the episode will be spoiler-free, and then I will go to a part after I give the score and my thoughts on whether or not you should watch it or not, and then I'll give you guys a warning, and then I'll go into spoilers. So I'm going to go with that same format for this. I don't know how many of these I'm actually going to do, just because these are kind of time-consuming, but I might as well do this one. This one's going to be out a little bit early, early for when I wanted to put it out. I wanted to put episode 1 and 2 out on Saturday combined, but South Park isn't happening this week, so I guess I need to have something out this week, on Thursday. Alright, moving on. So let's go on now to the information about this episode. The title of this first episode is The Next Generation, which of course is just homage to the Next Generation show, which this season is a spiritual successor to. Alright, so release data. So this episode came out on February 16, 2023. The main cast for this episode, the way I saw it, they were used, was Patrick Stewart, Jerry Ryan, Michelle Hurd, and Jonathan Frakes. There are other actors in it, but these are the ones that had the main roles in this episode. If you watch it, they're the main people. And this episode has a runtime of 53 minutes, which feels pretty good. Alright, so let's just go with the basic plot of this episode and what they're really trying to do, and this is kind of like the Star Trek rigmarole all the time. So this is going to be the final season of Star Trek Picard. This is supposed to be Picard's big send-off season. If you watch the trailers, that's kind of what they're implying from it. And this season will have a lot of characters from Star Trek The Next Generation. We have a couple of them in this episode. Like I said, Jonathan Frakes is already there. I don't think he's actually being billed as what's the word I'm looking for? I don't think he's being billed as a main cast member for the season, but he is in this episode, and I'm assuming he's going to be in episode 2 as well, but we're not sure how far that's going to go, because they also have other Next Generation people that I'm sure they're going to want to use as well. Alright, moving on from there. So, just the basic idea here is one of Picard's old friends got themselves into some trouble, and they need Picard's help. Picard at this point, he seems like he's getting ready for, like, just be off, run out into the sunset with Laris, but he gets this call from this friend, and now he's kind of like, should I do it? Should I not do it? And of course he's going to do it because he's Picard. He's the good guy. So that's the basic idea. He has to go help someone, and he's going to have to break a lot of rules. What else is new with Picard? It's to get it all done. But yeah, that's the basic idea of this episode. So now let's go to my spoiler-free thoughts on this episode. And to begin, I'll talk a little bit about the history with Star Trek Picard for me. I like season 1 of what they did. I would call that season like a 7 out of 10. It did some good things, but it also did some annoying things where it's like, can you guys just get to the point? And then season 2 for me, I'd call it mediocre. If not mediocre, it was bad. It was just like, are we really doing the time travel thing again? And of course they do the time travel thing again. What I was worried about coming into this season is I didn't know how many characters were actually going to get back from those other 2 seasons that they build up. But so far we only have Raffi, Seven, and Picard. It doesn't look like anyone else is there, at least from what I've noticed in the first episode. So those are our main 3 people from before, but we're also getting the Next Generation cast in this season. And I think that's actually a good trade-off. I don't think they did a good enough job with some of the outside of Agnes, I didn't really care for too many of the other characters they brought in for season 1 and 2. Going this way, I actually think this might be a good thing for a send-off. This is, to me, the true spiritual successors to the Next Generation. This is the season 8 we've always wanted for us Trekkie fans. So I felt with this first episode, now going to that, I felt like it was in line with the Next Generation. I did feel like, oh, we're actually going back to the basics. We aren't trying to do something crazy and out of control. This seemed like a basics episode of what we're trying to do, what we're trying to establish. Of course, it's not going to be Monster of the Week anymore. This is going to be a series, season-long arc, but I like the way that they did it. So I really enjoyed this episode for what they did there. The actors, I mean, whenever any of these people have come back, they always feel like they know this character. Jerry Ryan, 7 of 9, she's never lost a step since she came back in Picard as 7 of 9. Patrick Stewart, I mean, this is his best role, and he's a really good actor. Jonathan Frakes, again, all these people that they've done these roles, they just come back into it, and you can feel like they still feel that character. So I really got that impression from this episode. And it's visually stunning. I mean, guys, this is Star Trek the way I've so far getting used to in these new seasons. They look amazing. They look like Star Trek. So yeah, moving on now to my score. I'm gonna give this episode an 8 out of 10 for great. It's wow what they're doing there. You can kind of see the seeds of what they're planning. There's a cliffhanger at the end, and you're just like, okay. There's so many things already that they built on this one episode that I'm just gotta say it's great. I'm not going amazing just because there's some things that I'm just like, I don't know what you're trying to do there. But so far, great. We're setting up an enemy for them to deal with. Picard's trying to figure out, is this the end for him? Because, I mean, yeah, his last season. I'm still trying to figure out if he's going to live or die in this season. Although I think he's in a robotic body from the end of season 1. So I'm not sure if death really happens. I got to go back and check that out. So yeah, this is an 8 out of 10. Would I recommend this? If you're new to Star Trek, I'm not sure if this is the best starting point for you. However, I'm not sure if I would say go back and watch Picard season 1 and 2, because I don't think those are great starting points at all. What I might suggest is you go on YouTube and see like a recap of season 1 and 2, and I think that should be enough so you can come here and you'd really enjoy the show, because what they did in that first episode I thought was really good. This feels like Star Trek to me. So yeah, that's my thoughts, guys, spoiler free, and like I said, I would recommend it. Even if you're not a Trekkie, I think this is not the worst starting point, but you do need to have a little bit of backstory since there's so much coming into this. Like I said, this is the spiritual successor to season 8. Alright guys, so those were all my spoiler-free thoughts. If this is where you guys are leaving me, again, thank you for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you thought. And once you actually finish watching the episode, come back and watch the spoiler section. We're going to talk about some of the plot in that episode, of the episode. So, moving on now, here's your warning that we're going into spoilers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright guys, we're in the spoiler section now, so let's just go on with it. So the person that needs Picard's help is Beverly Crusher. She's on a ship out in the middle of nowhere outside of Federation space. Beverly gets injured and she makes a distress call. And who does she make this call to? To Jean-Luc Picard. Oh man. You can kind of tell she doesn't know whether or not to do it, but she does warn him not to trust anyone, not even Starfleet. So that's really cool already from the beginning. Moving on from there, Picard now is... So if you're someone that loves all like Easter eggs and stuff like that, you would have loved this scene of Picard looking at some of his old mementos and things like that. I really enjoyed that. You even have Picard's flute. Funny story. Whenever I think about Picard's flute, I don't actually think of Star Trek. I think of Family Guy. And there's an episode where they're like on Family Feud, and Peter's just like, he was in the audience, he's like, Picard's flute. Like that was one of the answers. And I'm like, you idiot. And just because he was in the survey, he got it right. Sorry, random thought, just because I just thought about it right now, because that's how I think about a lot of this stuff. My brain's all random. All right, moving on from that. So yeah, Picard's with all his stuff, and he's telling Laris that, because I think they're going to move where she's going to be doing some stuff. So they're going to be going there, and Picard's kind of like dropping everything that he's doing in the vineyard to be with her, because now they're together, which I'm kind of happy. Picard actually has a girlfriend. Really good thing to see. So Picard at first doesn't really want to go help Beverly, but Laris kind of like, it's you. You have to help her. She wouldn't be asking this of anyone else if she didn't have to. So yeah, Picard ends up going to help her. But before he goes over there, let me see if I remember the order correctly. So we move on now to, I want to say, okay, I might be getting some things wrong here. Let's say that we're going on to Raffi real quick. Raffi's on, I guess, an assignment, but she's trying to figure out who stole some weapons from the Dainstrom? I can't remember how to say the institute name at the moment. Sorry about that, guys. But these weapons were stolen, and she's trying to figure out who actually did it. She's been given a clue that it's something to do with the Red Lady, and she doesn't know what the Red Lady is at this point in the episode. Moving on from there, now that we're setting off that Raffi has her own story, we go back to Picard, and Picard and he meets up with Riker at Guinan's bar, but Guinan's not there. I'm like, why is she not there? You guys had her in the last season. Just pay her and bring her back. Whoopi Goldberg, that is. All right, so now Picard and Riker are together. Picard tells Riker what's going on, and although Beverly did say not to bring anyone or trust anyone, what's weird is that the stuff that she actually said, Picard wouldn't have been able to decipher this on his own. A lot of that stuff that they did while he was Locutus. So they had to change some of their planning around that. So he doesn't have any information about that, but Riker does. So I'm a little bit confused on like, why did Beverly send that transmission to him when the reality is he wouldn't have been able to decode what she was saying on his own. He would have needed help from someone from the family. So moving on from there, Riker is able to figure out what she actually means. However, they can't necessarily go to Starfleet because they don't know if they can trust anyone. But freaking Riker is like, well, I mean, we could basically get on another ship and get to where we need to go. Because, you know, Picard and Riker are crazy. All right, so let's go back to Raffi for a second. Raffi at this point is talking to her informant, the person that her handler. That's because Raffi's on assignment and she's... what's the word I'm looking for? She's undercover. So she's talking to her handler, trying to figure things out. Her handler's not really being that useful to her, so you can kind of tell she's getting frustrated. And they're trying to figure out what the red lady even means. So going back to Picard and Riker at this point, they found a way onto a ship and that they're lying, saying like, hey, we need to go do an inspection of the Titan. And guys, just seeing the Titan, it's now a Constitution class. It looks really cool. So it's not the, so if you've seen the Titan, the only time we've ever seen the Titan in action is in Star Trek Lower Deck. So it's an animated version. So they brought this new version of Titan. It's now a Constitution class, similar to what the Enterprise of the old show used to be. And when I say old show, I mean like the, actually Star Trek Strange New World, that's a Constitution class Enterprise. The one from Star Trek The Next Generation is a Galaxy class. So it's slightly different. It's the fatter one. All right. Sorry about my rant there and being so nerdy because I really love Star Trek, guys. And Star Wars. So before people start getting some hate, I love both, okay? So now they're on the Titan and they're not sure if they're going to be able to convince the captain about it. Apparently the captain's kind of a hard ass, but they do, Picard does know the first officer and it happens to be 7 of 9. However, she's going by Annika Hansen, her human name, before she got assimilated by the Borg at this moment. Main reason for that is the captain thinks that she needs to be more human and not really going by 7 of 9, even though you can kind of tell she wants to be going by 7 of 9. So yeah, they're doing this fake inspection that if they get caught, they're screwed. And they do make their plans to go out, not to necessarily... They're supposed to like a flyover or whatever, and they're trying to change the coordinates. So they eventually do meet with the captain, and he is just a piece of crap. And he's like, nope, we're not doing your crazy excursions. I know the stuff you guys like to do. I am not doing it. And it's just like, dude, you suck. I hate you. And after that conversation, you can kind of tell Seven's like, something's up. They are not here for an inspection. So... From here, Seven ends up having a conversation with them being like, hey, like, what? And she even says, permission to speak freely. She's like, what the hell are you guys doing here? Like, you guys are clearly not here for an inspection. Riker kind of like yells at her for a second, but she's like, I'm not saying this to my commanding officer. I'm saying this to a friend because Picard is her friend. And they do end up talking about like, yeah, some of the stuff that we're doing here, maybe not the best ideas. So eventually, she does find out what they're trying to do, and you can kind of tell Seven's frustrated with how she's supposed to be as a first officer. She's like, I don't know how to follow all these rules. I don't know how to be this robot or whatever. And I like the thing that Picard says, if you ever do figure it out, tell me, because I never figured it out either. And I think that's to me giving like, oh, are we getting Captain 7 by the end of this season? Because I hope we do. That's a character that I'm like, if anyone was going to get a spinoff, I think 709 deserves to get it. We did get a Janeway mention in that, so part of me is still hoping that we see Janeway in this season. We've only seen her in animated so far since Voyager, so We did see her in one of the movies, but that was so long ago. But like in the recent stuff. All right, going on now. Seven does change the course, and he do go to the planet. But let's go back to Raffi for a second. Raffi eventually does figure out what the Red Lady is, and it's a recruitment base for Starfleet on a planet. And Raffi didn't realize that's a target. So she flies over there as fast as she can. And the second she gets there, she starts warning, trying to get a signal out to warn them. She's not able to get a signal out. And a weapon is being used that goes completely around the facility. And it just goes inside, like it goes underground, like an earthquake got it and just shatters down. And then somewhere else in the city, you see another circle like open up in the sky, and all that stuff just falls through, breaking and killing so many people. It is an insane scene. I'm just like, oh, Star Trek is not messing around this season. This is awesome. So let's now go back to, that's the end of Raffi's part for this episode. Now let's go back to Riker and Picard. And I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but Beverly hasn't talked to them in like 20 years. She kind of just cut everyone out of her life. And no one really knows why. There is kind of going to be a hint right now what happened. So now we go back to them, and they were able to find her ship. It's heavily damaged. They know that Beverly is in there and that she's in critical condition. They are able to merge with the dock with the ship, and then they are inside. Riker gets not assaulted. He gets stopped by her person that's with her right there. We don't know who that person is for a second, and he puts a gun to Riker. And Picard ends up finding Beverly. She's still in a cryopod. Riker and the guy show up, and they're able to stop the guy. They're saying like, "Hey, I know you're trying to protect." Picard says, "I know you're trying to protect her. You're the one that turned on that machine to keep her alive." So they do disarm the guy. They put their weapons down. I think Riker punches him, and after that, they kind of go like, "Who is this guy? Why is he with Beverly?" And he says, "I'm her son." And this isn't Wesley. So this is another son. And the big thing is, if you're a Trekkie fan, you kind of know there was always this like thing of like, was Wesley Picard's son? Because there was something between Beverly and him before. And now the big thing is going to be like, oh, maybe after some stuff, maybe this is Beverly's son with Picard. I'm very curious to see what they're going to do. And then once he says that, they end up getting a new enemy that's showing up. The enemy that attacked Beverly at the beginning of the episode. So they're being hunted. I don't know for what yet. We're going to find that in episode 2, hopefully. But so far, that was the wrap of the episode, guys. And I thought it was, like I said, I thought it was great. They're setting so much up with one episode. But this episode wasn't just a setup episode. Things were happening. So that's what I thought was really cool. If you look at some of the season 2, things weren't really happening. Just setup. Here things are happening, and I'm enjoying that. I think this is Star Trek back to form. All right, guys. Well, that's all I have for this episode. Please check out my next review that should come out soon. Will be for Cocaine Bear, and then we'll have another review for Last of Us Episode 7. Next week, I'm hoping to get a review out for... we'll also get a Picard Episode 2, I'm hoping this weekend, and then next week also get like the next South Park episode. But that's all I have, guys. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you guys want me to review next, and what you thought about this video, and what you thought about this episode of Star Trek. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.